Welcome to Finding Alara, a safe space where authors, artists, and creatives share their world-building style and mindfulness tactics. Brought to you by Bushland Castle Productions, a micro-publisher with an author support platform that nurtures creative growth and storytelling excellence. Welcome to the Indie Author Book Fair Minisode series. All of these interviews were recorded as a live stream from the Indie Author Book Fair on the 30th of November 2025 in Bunbury. Each minisode will have the live interview component with myself or Paul Vandermeer from Forest.chat, an interview the guest had with Chris Ilsley on the day, and an excerpt from one of their creative works which may just inspire you to have a closer look at what's available in the indie book world. Feature guest 22 of 27 is Murray Hall. Murray Ernest Hall is the great-nephew of Ernest Alfred Hall, the soldier whose journey you will follow in Walk a War in My Shoes. A twice Commonwealth Games silver medalist in cycling, Murray represented Australia on numerous occasions during a prestigious 16-year period as a professional rider. The sport allowed him to travel the world extensively, and he was based out of Belgium and Denmark for long periods. It was during this time in Belgium, living in and around the major battlefields of the First World War, that he also developed an interest in the life of his forebear, Ernest Alfred. Following his retirement from the saddle, Murray had a long and highly regarded career as an administrator in the sport. Now retired, he shares a semi-rural property southeast of Perth, Western Australia, with his wife Tracy and a few furry friends. Walk a War in My Shoes was his writing debut. His second book, Unlikely Barons, was released in December 2022. Both books were nominated for the WA Premiers Award. His first book, Walk a War in My Shoes, has the hook, "Like so many, Ernest Hall embarked for the war to end all wars. Unlike so many, his letters and records survived. This is his story." His second story, Unlikely Barons, has the hook, "It's an unlikely story, but all stories are unlikely until they happen. This is Kat's story." You can get copies of Murray's books through his page on Book Reality Experience or through Amazon. The links are in the show notes. We have done our best to clean up the audio for the interviews, but it was recorded live, so there is some noise from the crowd embedded within the file. I hope that this gives you a feel for what the energy was like on the day. Please note that due to the nature of Murray's books, there are talks about war and death in the interviews, and there is use of expletives in the excerpt. If this is something that triggers you, please look after yourself and seek help if you feel the need. I will return to your ears at the end to share my key takeaways and let you know who the next guest is going to be. Hello Murray, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, thanks for having me.
No problems at all, I'm really glad you're here. I'm talking to Murray Hall. He is the fantastic author of Unlikely Barons. That's a new one, isn't it?
That's the new one. That's the latest one. Yep.
And then the first one?
Walk a War in My Shoes.
Walk a War in My Shoes, which is about your granddad.
My great uncle, so it's my grandfather's brother, is who that man is.
So did you have lots of meaningful conversations with him about this?
No, not really, because my birth was a long time after he passed away in 1917. I never got the chance to speak to him personally. The stories that I learned from him come from two different directions. One would have been my father. My grandfather never spoke a lot about it, but I was probably too young to ask the right questions. But the main drive for the book was when my mother passed away, I found the 100-year-old letters that my great uncle had written back from about the time of his enlistment to a week before he passed away. So that was the main driver.
Amazing. So what sort of writer are you? Do you like to write your stories in silence, or do you want sound, or?
When I'm doing the work on it, silence.
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 So you can't carry on writing in this environment then?
No, not at all. No, I need to concentrate. A lot of the work that's gone into either book is in research, and it's I guess being retired, I've got the opportunity to not be under pressure. I can sit down, I can write for a few hours. If I get into a bit of a blank or I'm not sure about something, I can walk away, go for a walk, go for a ride on my bike, think it through, come back, pick it up in 3-4 days' time or a week if I feel like it, and then go on there. But the point I need to make is the amount of research that goes into either book. I loved the research part of it. I was engaged with that.
So how long did it take you to write this book here?
Walk War in My Shoes took 5 years. This book took, Unlikely Barons took 18 months, but the book had been in my head for 30 years. But there was, for reasons that are explained in the book, I couldn't do a great deal about it. Some circumstances changed. I still retained the passion to write after the first book came out, so I then took this to print. But it only took 18 months because most of the story had been in here forever.
What's next?
I'm not really sure. There's a bit of pressure on from a few people to bring a sequel to Unlikely Barons because there's a few open ends there which would allow me to do that. But I need to, because it's a work of fiction, allegedly, I need to build that story inside my head before I can take it to the computer.
So it could be another 5 or so years?
Let's say a couple.
A couple of years?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe it won't take so long because you've got all of this experience from these 2 books now.
No, because I think I've learned a lot in the writing. You learn how to progress something, how to think things through, how to do research. You learn a lot as you go. So the next one wouldn't be hard.
So what 5 words would describe yourself as an author?
Enthusiastic.
Okay.
Passionate. I become engrossed in both books. I become part of the story in that I become totally involved, totally connected to the work. Almost like in this case that I knew the man, in this case that I could put my feet on the ground with those people and connect to them. So I become really connected.
So when you first started self-publishing, did you do it yourself or did you go for some self-publishing services?
I was very lucky that when I had finished the manuscript, I started to format for print. But if you're not as computer literate as you should be, you need help. And I studied every YouTube video that's available on how to format for print. And about 2 weeks in, I had to walk away from it. It was far beyond my ability. So the best thing that ever happened to me was I found Lejeune Press's phone number and rung up Ian Hooper, and the rest is history.
He is an amazing support person.
Magnificent.
Ian. So if someone was starting out in the indie publishing route, what advice would you give them?
That's a really good question, and I do address that often when I'm promoting the book. I say to people, everyone's got a story within them, and it might be about your own family history, it might be about, you might have a passion for Irish dancing, it doesn't matter. People have got some sort of story within them, and my advice to them would be do it. It's not difficult, it's not expensive anymore. The beauty of self-publishing and the way print on demand works is that no one's going to get hurt, and if you don't have someone's foot in the middle of your back, take your time, but do it.
Just get it done.
Get it done.
You can't edit a blank page.
No.
No, you can't. So are you actually going to follow through with that next book with Unlikely Barons?
It's probably, unless something else jumps up, it's probably the next step.
That's the next step. So we have to wait a couple of years, but we could very well see that soon.
But you never say never.
Never say never. Can you please tell us a little bit about this story?
Okay, so Unlikely Barons, I was living in Broome in the 90s for about 5 years, and Broome was out of control then as much as it is now. I don't think it's really changed much, but it was, with due respect to the police, it was almost a lawless environment, and there was things going on up there that I observed. I knew people, I worked for people that were out of control, and it's a story of their lives, the characters of Broome. Also, there's a backstory in there about the disappearance and unacceptable investigation into the deaths of 2 people, and that's never been fully explained. So that's in there as well.
That's your open-ended bits you can close?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll be in touch when we've got the Minisode ready.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have you finished building your story and you're not sure which pathway to choose for publishing? The Book Reality Experience is a publishing assistance service offering partnership publishing solutions to authors. We have different pathways available and we'll recommend what we think works best for you and your story. Check out our website at www.bookreality.com for more information. Together, let's turn your book dream into a reality.
Murray, Walk a War in My Shoes, is that recounting an experience of war, or is that more your impression of how your great uncle fared in the war?
It's more about how I wanted to walk in his shoes when the short story to this is that when my mother passed away and I was cleaning out her possessions, I found a cachet of original 100-year-old letters that my great uncle Ernest Alfred Hall had written back from the First World War, and my desire was to have them eventually donated to the Australian War Memorial. But before I did that, I started to transcribe them and took high-resolution photographs of everything I had so that I had near enough the original copies for our own purposes. But in transcribing those letters, the story jumped out at me. It was too good to have been left sitting in someone's filing cabinet, so I wanted to walk in the shoes of my great uncle.
It's a very interesting topic because many people will recount their parents, grandparents, even great-grandparents, and the one theme that often comes out is Dad was in the war, Grandpa was in the war, and they never ever spoke of it. Am I correct in assuming that you were able to get from your great uncle through his writing stories that perhaps he would not have told you in person had he been there?
Absolutely. The information that he supplied to me, and look, there was a couple of examples where the letters had been censored. Now, censored in that they'd been crayoned out. There'd be entire paragraphs crayoned
redacted obviously to stop any potential hindering of the war effort.
Correct, but I was fortunate enough that my brother-in-law is connected to the photographic industry, and he was able to extract that crayon image from the original letters.
So you could see what was behind it.
And we could read the whole lot, and I don't know why it was retracted so heavily, because the information was never going to change the war, but it gave us magnificent information, coordinates, etc., names of trenches that he was in, etc.
But also, perhaps one of the other things it does do indirectly is tell us how much they were determined to sanitise the reality of war. I mean, it was often said that the reason the Vietnam War was deemed to be so horrific was it was the first war that was dropped into our lounge rooms with the news at night in living colour. That didn't happen in World War II. It certainly didn't happen in World War I. What people got to see was a sanitised version of events as we wanted them to see. Once we got to wars like Vietnam, where correspondents were basically taking images and they then formed part of the news, we perhaps got to see it in the more gritty reality that it truly existed.
You're absolutely correct. One thing that did leap out at me when I read his letters in their entirety, you could see the change of mindset from the very start, where something might appear to us to be horrific and an extraordinary event, whereas as the letters progressed, he became accustomed to it. It became part of his life. It was just a matter of fact that others would die beside him, etc. And you could see that change of mindset as the letters progressed.
Did he accept that sort of thing, or was it one of a case of, well, this is reality, I can't do anything at this point to change the reality, so I have to accept it?
I don't know whether he had to or whether he just did, but, well, clearly...
They were a different generation of people, though, weren't they?
Absolutely. But you could sense from the letters where death became commonplace and an acceptance of it in seconds, as opposed to sit there and grieve for months on end. It was just happening all day, every day, and there was nothing else to do but move on.
How did he fare when he returned home? Were you able to glean any information about that?
Well, he didn't.
He was killed in the war.
Correct. The front cover of the book actually is a dead giveaway, because it's a photograph of the original headstone that was sent back to his mother in 1920 or thereabouts.
In your travels overseas, have you visited the grave?
Absolutely. In researching for the book, I did 4 different trips to Europe, to the back teeth with his letters, British war maps, trench maps, British coordinates, all sorts of information. So I've walked that ground every foot of the journey that he took.
It must have been almost surreal for you because you're looking at areas, in some cases I've heard stories of battlefields that now are actually really beautiful places, and it becomes hard to imagine that they were just blood-filled killing fields at one time.
Belgium hasn't built over a lot of the areas that were covered during the Western Front, and I guess I use the word lightly, but I was fortunate enough to walk onto farmland. The terrain is exactly as it would have been 110 years ago, and walk in the fields and walk within a few metres of where my great uncle was last seen, the coordinates of where he stood on the day that he was killed in action.
Wow. Writing the book for you, obviously we're talking about a man that you never knew. Did you feel a sense of family connection, or was it more like simply writing a book that you were able to do because you had lots of very useful information that enabled you to do so?
No, I became extremely connected to the man. When you've studied and researched a person for 5 years, you become not only connected through blood and DNA, but passionate about this person to the point where I would sit in front of the computer and almost believe that I could talk to him and that I knew him. And I'm not sure that that's probably a good thing, but the short answer is that I became extremely connected to him.
Well, the book is called Walk a War in My Shoes. Murray Hall is one of the authors here today, and we thank you very much for your time, Murray.
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Extract from Walk a War in My Shoes. On one shift, I was at my listening post, 30 yards from the miners who were working the face of the tunnel. Another listener crawls up to me and whispers in my ear that he can hear voices next to his position. I move up where he was working, and using hand signals, he directs me to listen in. It comes as a devil of a shock to hear another language being spoken somewhere on the other side of the clay wall. It's faint, but clear and obvious enough to report immediately. Fritz can only be a foot of blue clay away. The sheer terror of working hundreds of yards underground in a tunnel, roughly 1 yard high by 1 yard wide, and the enemy is so close you can hear him talking. Extract from Unlikely Barons. When he was confident the flames had taken hold, he dialed the mobile number written on the four-wheel drive door, the same number that was on the ABN report, and walked back to his car. Breathing like he was still running at full gas, the plumber answered, "Hi fuckhead, nice to see you again, mate. Sorry you didn't want to hang around and chat about the 40 large you owe me. First problem you have is that with interest, we're now calling it 50. You owe me 50. The next problem you have is that I know where to find you, and I'll be back at different times of the day and night until you pay your debt. And as a bonus, everyone you took for a ride, including the Easter egg, will have your fucking address and phone number before the end of the day." An example of bad behaviour by people that are seen in the general community as well-to-do, respectful people.
That excerpt really provided a glimpse into Murray's writing style. My first takeaway was the process that he went through over 5 years to create his first book. The extensive research and the immersion into his great uncle's persona was incredible. My second takeaway was the timelines that he explained for the two books, how different they were and the lessons he learnt along the way. My third takeaway was his humble nature and how he knew that he would need help to finish the books and asked for help from the Book Reality experience. What were your key takeaways? If you would like to carry on the conversation with Murray, then he has Facebook, Instagram and a link tree. All the contact details are in the show notes along with his book information. In the next special episode, you will hear from Brett Cole. If you are enjoying the show and would like to show some support, then please subscribe and share these interviews with a friend. Or you can go the next step. You can buy us a cuppa. Head on over to ko-fi.com/findingalara. That's ko-fi.com/findingalara. There is an option for you to buy us a cup of tea for $2, or you can join the Shadow Lair for $5 a month, where you receive exclusive content and advanced information about the show. If you would like to get in touch with myself or the team at Bushland Castle Productions, then I'm on Instagram and TikTok as at Finding Lara. There is a Discord channel and Facebook group called Finding a Lara Podcast. The Bushland Castle Productions team are on Facebook, Instagram and Discord as BCP Creative. Or you can check us out on the website bushlandcastleproductions.com for the most up-to-date information. If you'd like to get in touch with Chris, then he's on Facebook as Chris Ilsley, and if you want to talk to Paul, then he's on Facebook as Paul Vandermeer. And he has his own podcast, forest.chat. The music is brought to you by At Keys of Moon Music and is called The Epic Hero. If you enjoyed listening to Finding Lara, have any questions or just want to share your world with us, then please get in touch. Until next time, keep up the search for your Alara.